UDFs, okay, those user-defined functions, we've really taken them quite a long way now, haven't we? We've built a whole report pack now based on a simple UDF that's allowed us to streamline and centralize what we need to do for when we bring something through. Yeah, so we've got that structure now. So we'll have a look and see what that looks like. But not everything about UDFs is easy and plain sailing, okay? There are some real gotchas that actually have a huge impact and prove that this is something you really cannot use at any level in a preview. Well, it's in the preview feature. Hi, my name's Ross, the creator and founder of Geordie Consulting and Geordie Intelligence, the YouTube channel you're watching right now. What we've looked at with UDFs is we've shown the power of UDFs and how it's allowed us to go from having to copy this big string to convert into a measure that's going to work for whatever we want. And that's greatly streamlined it. And in case that we've put this together, we've put some additional parameters in, so it's actually able to do double, triple duty almost, isn't it? We're pulling together lots of data based on this simple function that we've written. Very good, very easy. Additional clauses can be folded into the UDF, the user-defined function. We can change it. Business logic is changed in one location. Huge. But is it all that simple? Is there something else going on here that's actually going to stop this from being a feature that we can use in a production environment while it's going through preview? Now, of course, do not put stuff in preview in production. We know that, but lots of businesses are using shape maps. These are in preview and have been for many years. That logic doesn't fully hold with the way Power BI is being developed and pushed by Microsoft. There's no way of understanding it, is there really? That whole development cycle for when these products are going to come out of preview. Is this something we should even be looking at? Should I be taking any time to look at it now? Or is it a case going, forget about it? We don't know these things. UDFs is a big push, though, that Microsoft is really backing. But at the moment, it's unusable in an enterprise. It's not a case of saying, oh, this is just a preview feature, you shouldn't use it. It's actually unusable. So here we are, okay? This is the free public report that we've published, shared it with you guys. It's very simple, okay? Click the link, it'll open you to a page like this. All you need to do is click on slicer selection, which is the middle, and it'll take you to this slicer selection page. And from there, you can pick an event and the year that you would like to know what happened in that event for. Okay, if you pick, so we've got Jasmine Dean, we started in 2019, so if we pick 2016, what you'll see is the events held doesn't like it, okay, nothing there. So we know that's not going to work, is it? Go to 2019 and it'll say 11 out of 11. So 11 of the 11 events that they held, so we can see they obviously started that year. If we pick 2020, you'll see we had another 11, and there was then a total of 22 events by the end of it. So it gives you an indication of what's going on with it. If we were to pick Jimenez, we'd see they didn't start until 2025. We can see what happens. Yeah, very simple. That seems to be the way, that felt like it made sense to me when I was building it. So I think that's the way we've gone with it. We've sorted this list by county first, or local authorities. We've got County Durham, and that's all alphabetical, and obviously Gateshead, Newcastle, blah, blah, blah. So you can pick where you want. So if we were to say pick, let's pick Harrington, or let's pick the original parkrun in the northeast, yeah? Let's pick Silksworth in 2025. So we can see 46 out of their 738 events were held there. When we click See Report, it will take us back to the page we were on when we clicked I. So if you're halfway through the report, you can flick between parkruns and see how they look. That was my mindset for it as well. So Silksworth, we can go first page, we get a summary of Sunderland. So what happened that year, so in 2025, across the 3 events in Sunderland, and a breakdown of distinct participants and their profile. So we've got that piece together. We can then go in and see what's the specific area for Silksworth Parkrun. Got some information here in terms of registered finishers, volunteering, times completed, average age grades. So we get some good data out of there. And if we carry on, got the annual performance figures. We go through to the age grade or to the event by event profiling, which gives us that, the age grading and the volunteer to runner ratio. Then got information on the whole history of the event in terms of participation, in terms of actually top 10 finishers. So the top 10 people, how many have they actually done? That kind of information. It's all important to get, isn't it? We come through, we can see what happened in the year. So how many have they done? Okay, we then get the age grade version of that, and then looking at volunteers. So actually the run ratio, the volunteer performance, and then we get obviously volunteers to run comparison, and we can then start to work out that profiling of the teams that are there. Okay, so we've got all that pieced together. You can pick, choose, see where you want to see. If you're thinking of coming to a park run up in the northeast, pick it, see what's happening. And you can even see the current year and actually what's going on in the current year for it. So that's great, we can do lots with it, okay? But we mentioned problems, didn't we? So UDFs, and disconnected slicers, is what's made this possible. These two slicers, which are disconnected from the model, are then feeding a UDF. Okay, so if we go to Power BI desktop, okay, and we'll open this here, okay, we'll have a look. This is the source for this report. So it's very simple, it's very easy. But what we can do from this source is we can bring in one of the issues that we have with UDF, so we can really quickly and easily see. So I'm just going to go and let's pick a new page, okay? And you can see, here's a selection. So you can, believe me, it is a real one. I am here, okay? And what I wanted to look at was measures. So if we bring in, I'm going to bring in table and folder here, okay? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that a slicer. And then under slicer settings, what we'll do is we'll make that a drop down, okay? And we'll say we want a single selection, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, let's pick DS here, and what we want to do is to pick multi-year, okay? And then what we can do is we can bring in the name of the measure, and we'll bring in the measure text. Okay, so these two things together. And we can see here is the UDF in action. Okay, so our user-defined function we wrote, which was function DS values. Simple. And here's the problem. Okay, there is no way I can see that measure text. Okay, so what goes on to build that UDF doesn't come through in here, okay, in a secondary report. So we can't understand what it is. So the transparency is lost. And that transparency is an issue. Okay? Now, it's quite a small one in terms of in the detail of what's going on with it, but it's one we need to understand. This is a problem. The other thing that we get is if we come back to secondary and we say, oh, well, you know, what I'm really keen to do is want to write a new measure. And what we want to do is see disconnected slicer economic benefit, okay, which would equal this FNO DS values. Oh, it's not a function that's known, okay? So we cannot find the name of this function from a secondary measure, which means, okay, I could go through the whole process of saying, right, this is the business logic. If you want to use this, you need to, this is the logic you need to do. Okay, and we can think of all sorts of options where we would need this, where we would use. Business logic is really important. And it then makes it very difficult. So there's no way I can piece this together and say, right, this is something that can be used by the business now and hand it over. This is then going to be a burden that we would have to manage centrally. So in terms of it, what it would mean is that we'd have to come back to here. Okay, so what it means is we would need to bring up and do it centrally. So if I was to turn and say, oh, actually, we've done that work historically on economic benefit, where we've built a finance model, haven't we? Looking at rightly or wrongly, remember there's a lot of assumptions that went into how we broke down the fractions or the components of it. But what we've ended up with under here is this list of economic benefit, and we can click and we can see kind of how that's going to piece together. Okay, so we've got this logical structure here. And if you remember, we talked about, well, we could do this with, we could use field parameters or something else to do this, or, you know, again, something like a disconnected slicer where you would have options 1 to 100, where we would piece together and we could work out these two have to equal 100 or whatever, or 3. There's lots of options we can do, but this was kind of where we ended up with, that we had this idea of 0.2 to 1, and then this goes forward. As I say, there is no hard and fast, this is the way this is going to go. This is a big reason why over time semantic models change, because you will go down a route with something like that. It doesn't work as we scale it. This will work for us. So obviously we've got the ability here to say, well, what's the financial benefit of it? And we've written the whole economic report on that, haven't we? So what we would need to do is we could say, for all of these, we could put together something that allowed us to see the economic benefit. Okay, so if we went here, for example, where we've got this is the demo page that I put into the main model just so I could test that it was working. So we've got a text box thing showing us these are the values for it, and I can then pick a different event and we see those values change. Okay, so there's method to the madness there. What we can do with this though is we can say, well, for here we want this to be a column chart. Okay, we've got clustered columns. Okay, and that's fine. So we can then say, well, we've got events held. So what about if we were to say, well, we want to bring in a multi-year economic benefit. So if we expand that, we can see from here, this is all I've done for it, isn't it? Okay, so if I copy all this, okay, and remember, do this a lot in DAX and Power BI. Okay, copy your measures, don't rewrite from scratch all the time. And if we then say, right, we're going to create a new measure, select everything, let's paste that in. So this is going to be DS, economic benefit, then I can spell, single multi, and then for here, what we're looking at is economic benefit. Okay, economic benefit all, simple. Right? But in order to test this, I would need to have the ability to put this in a secondary measure. The last thing we want is for these people to have to come to us to do it. And the danger would be that people will try and slot in measures to disconnect slice stuff that doesn't work. That's why we've labeled it separately. That's why everything's put in a separate folder. Okay? Really pushing why we need multiple folder sets in Power BI, isn't it? Okay? Come out of here. There we go. All right? So now we understand that that's what's happened. We can bring this onto here, can't we? We can close this events held, remove events held from here, and we can see this is going to come through, and it will work through against every year just by the nature of the beast with this. So that's a reality that we've got to think through, that potentially there's a tweak we might need to make for it. I'm not overly concerned about it from this is an economic benefit. We could say, well, they didn't exist then, there was no economic benefit. It's not wrong, it's just maybe not what we would want. But we can do this, can't we? And we can pick, we can say, well, Dent and Dean in 2025, okay? We could say Jessamine Dean in 2025 and see the economic benefit of it, right? This is how this works. We could then turn around and say, well, we've got that. What about if we looked and we said, we want to see economic benefit at a local authority level. Okay, and at the moment we've got local authority single, but the way we've structured this, we could do local authority multi as well, but we've got single for now. Multi would be a challenge to do next time, wouldn't it? Maybe you guys could suggest what you think it should be in the comments down below. Okay, so again, we could come here and go, right, new measure. Let's paste that. And again, the structure of this is such that we can do this. Economic benefit, I really should have put an underscore in there, shouldn't I? LA, 1 year. That's going to be economic benefit all. And then what we're going to do is 2 and 1. Okay, so the structure of our disconnect of our function is such that it's just a couple of parameters we put in. Okay, and then from here, what we would need to do is say, well, here we've got this text string. We could add a line. The potential. Benefit to the local authority. From the events was add the value. Economic benefit. And we're going to call this underscore DS. Economic benefit. What's going on with this? LA 1 year. Why is it not like that? There we go. Economic benefit, LA 1 year. It did pick that, didn't we? It's gone blue. Does it not like? There we go. Okay, so we've got something. Okay, so we can pick that. Let's just go back to here. Did not put it in there? It did. Okay, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to say we want to put a pound sign on there, don't we? English United Kingdom. And I'm going to get rid of pence. We don't want pence, do we? Okay, so there we go. Okay, so all of a sudden, we've pieced something together, haven't we? Put those in. But that weakness of not being able to slot those secondary measures in means that it all has to be done centrally. So immediately, any tweaks to something that requires a UDF have to go through a central development cycle, which means there has to be a way to expose the UDF content so that people can pull it through and use it as a measure structure for themselves to then evaluate and say, right, this is a change that needs to happen, or I think the way you've done it is wrong. So there's a whole piece to this that just doesn't work at an enterprise level or any real scaling. Okay, as soon as you can't bring it through into secondary measures, you've got a problem. Okay, fundamentally massive issue. But this, brilliant, we can straight away do this. We can pick Northumberland, we can see the potential economic benefit that Northumberland had in 2025, make this a bit bigger. Okay, we can do the same for South Tyneside, Sunderland, everything, okay? So it's all there, directly built, all from the way we've structured it, okay? And don't forget, the structure of our UDF is not particularly complicated. If we come through the DAX, you can see here it is, okay? Got define a function, got the name, got the expression, which is the key, evaluate this, and then we've got 2 numerics coming through, scale and scope. And then we've got the various variables that we've gone through the various iterations. We've standardized the name. And then lastly, I've just used a switch statement based on scale equals this, scope equals that. And obviously the last one that we haven't yet built would be 2-2. So for a multi-year local authority view, which again, we could easily do. It's not a problem to do it. It's just we've gone full circle, haven't we? We've got to that point where we're now pushing, we've delivered the requirement, and now we're already saying, be a bit more on this, wouldn't there? A bit more we should do. And this is where your Power BI development cycle becomes an ongoing piece of work, and why it becomes important to make sure that your community can access content and be recursive about their development. If we go back to our SharePoint site, because of course SharePoint is lovely and that's what we're all using these days. Okay, I had a look, and in our documents I've just put a screenshot from where we were just publishing this stuff up to. Okay, and this is what I wanted you to see. Okay, bearing in mind, right, this is just our little data set that we've got for what we're doing. Okay, it's nothing big, nothing clever about this. It's just a small little data set that we've done a few demo videos with, we've done something with. This already has spread across 6 workspaces, including like the 2 personal workspaces that I've got in terms of my personal workspace and the one that we're using for this business user that we're doing all the videos with. Then we've also got the various workspaces that we've got. So we've got the visualization, we've got some other stuff, we've got the SLT ones that we've looked at as well. So you can see this is one of those things. This photo, this screenshot, I think is one of those really vital steps that you just need to get that to click, okay? This one semantic model is already going into 6 workspaces and 12 different reports, okay? And that's huge. If you think, how much work and effort do we put in to maintain report content? What Power BI allows you to do is to step back from being about this report to being about this model. When the model is right, the report is right. Yeah? And because we've now got 12 reports running against the model, the work that I put in to maintain the model, which used to be the work I would put in to maintain one report, is now being able to feed 12 reports. Okay? I've seen businesses with clients, my clients, where we've had that number in 3 digits. So 100 plus reports feeding from one model. How important, how business critical was that model? But how efficient is it that we've got one place to maintain, manage, and update? Okay, when you turn around to a client, you say, right, we will have 100 plus reports running from one model that you will spend less than 10 minutes a day making sure is fine. That's when things change. Okay, so I thought it was really important for you to see that photo. Very important one of this screenshot. So what do you think, right? The way this works and the way your development cycles work is simple, okay? People will use what you have built historically to extend their development. That's how it should be, okay? And the inability, therefore, to expose or to use functions or user-defined functions in secondary measures is a critical failure. Okay? It means that we cannot use the structures that we've built. So if, for example, I test something and I write a new measure, which is really something which could happen, and I then say, all right, I want to use this with my disconnect slices because we could fold this into next year's report or into the ongoing development of this report cycle. I have to involve my IT team who have access to push updates into that report pack. And it means that there's no development structure that we have, okay? And development areas in Power BI are a big topic, right? This is a huge topic. If you look and you see what's going on in the industry and in the sectors, if you don't think this is a topic, you're missing a lot. We will spend some time tomorrow or next week, going through and dealing with development cycles within Power BI. This is where we're going to go next, okay? Because there are significant things that I have mass disagreements with about the way Microsoft is now pushing the product and actually the realities of using it. And I do work Power BI day in, day out with clients. I'm not somebody who's just saying, I'll sit in isolation and do it. But the key thing is that the platform has to have that flexibility. You have to allow governance to take place and have security and controls in place, but then also have the freedom side that allows the business to test things. And then when they're good, we fold them back into that structured environment. But we have to have the ability for them to do that. If we don't, it then becomes where you've got such a pace of development on your main golden production area that you can't rely on it. And simple tweaks and changes break other areas. So you need to have that capability of saying, well, we're not going to bring this through until we've tested it and validated it. And the only way you can do that is if you actually have the ability to have it. It's almost like a paddling pool area that people can play in. And then you go, well, you should have a dev, test, prod area. That's a brilliant idea. Let's have dev, test, and prod because of course our clients are going to have dev, test and prod data sets that they're going to use. They won't. Okay? The reality is they will use their production data, and if it's building secondary reports, it doesn't matter. There's no impact on it. Okay? It's fun and games, this, isn't it? But we'll do more on that next week, shall we? Yeah? We'll have a proper look. For now, though, stay safe, take care, ta-da.